So we need to talk about House of the Dragon Season 2. Hello guys, what is up? My name is Dylan. Welcome back to the Popcorn Podcast. Hope everyone's doing fantastic. It has been, I want to say, by the time this episode releases, I want to say around 3 weeks since the finale of House of the Dragon Season 2 dropped. I'm joined today for this episode by the Popcorn Podcast and Post-Credit Scene Podcast. Clara, Mannie, Gaz, welcome. Thank you. Like I said, it's been a little while since the last episode dropped, but since we're such big Thrones fans, there's no way we can sit down and have a chat about this. Guys, I just want to quickly ask you, because I'm interested to know where your kind of origins with A Song of Ice and Fire began. When did you guys get into Game of Thrones? Gaz, should we start with you? Because I can see you're like itching.
No, it's cool. I was actually enjoying your intro, man.
Thanks, man.
So I got introduced to the series by a friend, and she told me to watch the series maybe two years before I actually did. So I think I got into it by the fourth season. By the time the fourth season had started, shall I say. And I was so resistant. The first episode, I think a lot of people have had the same experience. I kind of struggled with the first 20 minutes or so. So I never actually got to the end of the episode to see what happened.
Of season 1, episode 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I never actually got to the point of seeing what Jaime did to Bran.
Yeah.
And seeing Jaime and Cersei. Yeah. But once I actually got there, I was like, what's that? And they did that to him, sort of thing. Yeah. And then from there, I was completely locked in. I think I read the first book. Like she got. I think she either told me or she bought me the book, which I read.
It's a good friend. That's a good friend.
Yeah, good friend. And then from there, just obsessed. Yeah. Like, literally, we had a Twitter group chat at the time before we actually started podding together. We had a Twitter group chat. We're just talking about the episode week by week. Fascinated by it, so yeah.
That's from like season 6 as well.
Yeah. That was a big season. Manny, yourself?
I think I started watching it during season 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I think because I was a big fantasy guy. So I watched similar to Gaz, the first episode. I kind of struggled through to watch. I think I had to watch it like 3 times before I probably got into it. And yeah, then I just enjoyed it from then. And then I read the first book back then, but I wasn't a fan of George.
Yeah, you still complain about it today?
Yeah, I do. I started reading the series again,
and
I'm enjoying a lot more than I did back then, because he's very descriptive in his writing.
Yeah,
which is I'm not a huge fan of. But when I got into Game of Thrones, I just loved it. And then, because I don't think I'm ever gonna rewatch the series ever again.
Okay,
I feel like I might as well just read it. I think all the TikToks of the lore of The Song of Ice and Fire and the lore of Fire and Blood just got me wanting to get into it a bit more. So here I am.
Yeah. Interesting. And Clara?
I started it I think maybe when season 5 was coming out. Like, a lot of my friends at school had watched it, so I actually knew what happened at the end of the first episode before I watched it, because everyone was talking about
First season?
No, the end of the first episode of the first season.
Oh, yeah,
because everyone was talking about it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Ned Stark.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. No, but yeah, and I just, when everyone started talking about it, I binged through all 4 seasons really quickly and watched the 5th, and
that's an interesting starting point though, because that's when I'm wrong. That's when Hardhome happens. That's season 4, right?
It's Hardhome is season 5, episode 8.
Oh, season 5, right. Because I was thinking,
sorry, I just
the fact that you know that off the top of your head.
I was thinking of when some people's starting point was when Jon Snow was unalived.
Yeah. By the way, spoilers, guys. Yeah.
It falls into season 6.
Season 6.
I made a mistake there.
No, that's interesting to hear, all your different takes. For me, I remember I was quite young. I was 13 or something when, because Game of Thrones airs sort of after 9 p.m. because obviously it's an adult show. So I remember just switching through TV channels and I started watching an episode. I think it was season 2, season 3, something like that. So oh my god, this is great. Game of Thrones, cool. And then I went and watched season 1. I think I watched in an entire night. I just went through that
There's
entire
not
thing.
enough hours in the night.
I did an all-nighter. I kid you not. I was hooked like this. And then obviously caught up. And then sort of when I started watching it was season 4, which in my opinion, I think is the best season still of Game of Thrones. I just think that is the most consistent Game of Thrones season. Every episode, there's weight to it. The politics are at its all-time high. The spectacle as well. You have Oberyn versus the Mountain. You have the Battle of the Wall between the Wildlings and the Night's Watch. so much was happening in that, and Arya was like kicking off as well. I thought that in terms of like peak Game of Thrones, I think season 3, 4, obviously, I think in terms of spectacle wise, season 6, Battle of the Bastards, Winds of Winter, that kind of stuff is incredible. But I think my personal favorite season, and what I objectively think is the best season, is season 4. I don't know what do you?
I'd say 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah. I think that's when you, as you mentioned, you see the mechanics of the politics,
100%,
and the scheming. You see Lady Olenna, you've got Varys, you've got Littlefinger,
Yeah.
you've got Tywin, you've got Tyrion, you've got so many very smart or intuitive characters who are all trying to make their own way for their particular reasons of what they're doing, and I think that's where the series of that is best.
No, definitely.
I think the characters become a lot more proactive towards like season 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Where in the first 2 seasons, some of them a bit more on defensive side. Even someone like Littlefinger, who was just mostly scheming throughout the first season.
But in a pragmatic manner, he wasn't very front-footed, was he?
Yeah, he was very like reactionary in terms of what was going on. But I feel like towards like after the death of Joffrey, he started making his own moves, if I remember correctly. Especially with Sansa and pushing her to go to the
Vale.
The Vale?
Yeah, the area, yeah.
So it was interesting the characters come into more of their own for season 3 and 4. But yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I do have a really big soft spot though for season 1, and I know that's sort of boring.
Season 1 is good.
The setup of the Stark family and watching it all sort of split up and break down. I think that's really interesting, and I do. Yeah,
it's almost like the simplicity of that.
Yeah, there's something quite simple and like just the way he's set up everything to go on is just so well done and so perfect. Leading up to obviously like Dany giving birth to all the dragons and stuff. It's just like it all is just so well done and so kind of lovely that I really like the first season.
I have a thing with though. Just before I know we could talk about Thrones all day. The whole dragon aspect of Game of Thrones, I wasn't a huge fan of. I think House of the Dragon naturally has done a better job, and it's obviously because there's more dragons. So I think it's done a better job of giving us a look into dragon lore, and we know more about these dragons than we did, I think, her dragons.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree. I have a little bit of an opposing opinion to that in one way. I agree what you say about the dragons and stuff, and I was like really itching to get into like all the different dragons and like the connection with the dragon riders. I feel like with House of the Dragon, obviously the dragons are almost like they're at the front and center in a lot of moments. But for me, the thing about Game of Thrones and their use of dragons, obviously it comes down to budget and whatnot as well. But the fact that you didn't have so much dragons meant that when Drogon came on screen, or when there was like Dany was like, used her dragons to, conquer a city, those moments felt so much more like
weighty.
Yeah, with so much more weight. So that's the kind of thing I felt like Game of Thrones occasionally did better than House of Dragon. For House of Dragon feels like there's an abundance of dragons.
Oh, for sure.
So it's almost like, I don't want to use the word cartoony because I think it's great, but
I get what you
I think both shows do their thing with the dragons really well. Yeah. But no, completely agree with what you said. Shall we talk about season 2? Shall we talk about season 2? I'm like, there is completely no structure to this episode whatsoever. So I'm gonna go. Let's go straight in there. What is everyone's general after watching the finale? After watching those 8 episodes, let's start with you, Manny. Let's go.
I loved it.
Okay,
It's one of my favorite seasons.
Oh no way!
That I've watched, and I see quite a few people complain about it in comparison to season 1. And I understand it. It's fairly different in season. I don't know if you guys watched the Bear season 3.
We haven't seen the Bear. We haven't seen season 3 yet. We have seen season 1 and 2.
Okay,
but
they take like a different direction in season 3 in comparison to the first 2 seasons. Not to spoil it. I know a lot of people have complained about it, and it's similar to the House of Dragons season 2. Like, it's not a different show, but you can tell there is a huge difference. And I get that it's putting people off, but it added so much of what I enjoy in House of the Dragon and what I've enjoyed in Game of Thrones or just TV in general. It's just the focus on character writing, character interactions, and I feel like the lore in season 2 of Game of Thrones was much wider and deeper in comparison to season 1. When you look at the small folk, when you look at the fact that these dragons and the greens and the blacks have an effect throughout the whole kingdom, not just between this family, and just how important sitting on the throne actually is, not just for them as a family, but for the sake of the people that live within King's Landing. And obviously we move on to Essos as well, and that potentially affects Essos in terms of the issues with Driftmark. It just opened up the world a lot more in season 2, and I enjoyed the characters this season a lot more. I felt like I got to know them a lot better, and even the dragons, I got to know the dragons a lot more than I did in season 1. And those aspects alone just made me enjoy the season a bit more. I get the action wasn't as actiony as season 1. I don't care. I don't care about that aspect. But I definitely prefer season 2.
You think that actually wasn't as much as season 1?
Yeah, I think we got a lot more dragon fights, but I feel like there was a lot more.
Oh, you mean like
There wasn't as much like blood.
Okay, interesting.
There's a lot. There was a bit. There's a bit more action scenes in general in season 1. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I just remember being a bit more. Less.
I think season 1 had more like character moments where it's like conflicts, and that's because they were all conflict. They were all within the same constraint of being in King's Landing, right? So I think where you have Team Black and Team Green literally at points living in the same place, for example, or when they were reunited for the Driftmark episode, or the episode for the dinner in episode 8, I think it was, for Viserys' Last Supper. Like they were just that you have those moments of tension, and Daemon and Aemon and
100%.
Rhaenyra and Alicent, whereas in season 2 they've split apart completely.
100%.
That's the difference in the season.
100%. Yeah, like the proximity. They're in such more close proximity in the first season, and it feels like everyone's like just kind of hanging by a thread.
It's literally teetering. Yeah.
Literally. They're on the set. They're sharing the same rooms. They're having dinners together. They're sleeping with each other. You know, all these things. All these things are happening in such close proximity. Season 2 is obviously just now all spiraling. They're all kind of against each other. Clara?
I have to say I was a little bit disappointed in season 2.
Here we go.
I agree with you that the politics of the like worlds opened up a lot more, and I did find that interesting. But I disagree. I felt like the character interactions and the character writing just wasn't as good. I didn't buy into the relationships as much. I found it a bit I could sort of see they were like going on, like trying to hit plot points and take them on these journeys. I just personally didn't feel like the dialogue worked. I didn't believe so much in the characters. I found the relationships, like a lot of them a bit like, oh, okay, I see that they're going to kiss, or oh, I see that that's going to happen, but I didn't feel it being organic. Like I really felt like season 1 and all those relationships were really organic. I believed so much in the sort of toxic friendship between the girls, and you know, her Rhaenyra's relationship with her father, and Alicent's sort of twisted love, is it duty kind of thing. Like I felt all of those things so strongly, and in this season I just sort of didn't as much. The best relationships I felt were really those between Alicent and the new king.
Aegon.
I don't know why that just dropped out of my head. And Aegon, I thought that relationship was the best for me, and I thought that was done well. But the others, I found, I just didn't love them.
Interesting. Since we're on the topic of Alicent and Rhaenyra, what do you guys think about their particular dynamic in season 2? How it compares with season 1, and what's your kind of stance on that, Gaz?
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
I think that's probably the worst part of season 2.
Interesting. I kind of agree.
I agree.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think they're firstly just huge credit to Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook.
Actors
fantastic. In their own right, they're brilliant. And whenever they're on screen together or separate, it's like you're captivated by watching them. I just feel as though I would have liked for a bit more, not the word agency per se, but I would have liked for everything that's happened, some of the decisions they've made that make sense to me. And I get we can allow sort of our minds to wander, I guess, but for me, Alicent has lost her grandson, I believe, to Daemon's actions with blood and cheese. Rhaenyra's lost her son, and her throne's been usurped. I get the concept of, let's go to King's Landing and make peace to an extent, but in a general basis, it doesn't make sense to me for them to make those decisions. And then the end of season 8, where she went back to Dragonstone to see Rhaenyra, Alicent did, sorry. Again, like, I get it for Alicent. We're trying to sort of purify her, and I think the episode before was when she was in the river and the white dress. That was like a rebirth for her, if you like. But it doesn't make sense for her to go and see Rhaenyra, and then for her to just be able to walk free, considering everything that's happened.
100%.
So I would have liked for them to have given a character like Rhaenyra, who's a great character, just a bit more, just ever so slightly, some more drive and purpose in her decision making, because it felt like there was a bit of a loop in some of her decisions in the series. And Alicent as well. I think Alicent to her was probably better written in terms of some of her conflicts with Aemond and Aegon and
The
Yeah,
patriarchy.
definitely.
to
Yeah.
Rhaenyra. So, yeah, I think that's where I stand on those two particularly.
Interesting.
Do you know what's funny about Rhaenyra's decision to be a bit more less proactive with the thing? Is that I completely understand it because she's really Viserys' daughter. That's who she takes after. And I feel like a lot of the things that she done, I feel like Viserys would have done the same thing in terms of like exhausted every single action they could to make sure that war doesn't happen.
But the context of that, he didn't lose anybody in his life.
Yeah.
She's lost her son and her throne.
You're-
So I get where you're coming from in terms of she is literally tried to be Viserys, and Viserys has been a looming thing throughout the season too.
Yeah.
Even with Daemon, with Rhaenyra,
Aegon as
Alicent
well.
to an extent, Aegon, and he wants to be, you know. So yeah, I get where you're coming from. I'm not even. Yeah, I do get where you're coming from, but I just think
It's frustrating to watch.
when you've lost a son and your throne's been usurped, those are like two of the most important things to her.
I feel like there is this massive conflict going on between her with this anger and this need to like she doesn't want to be the queen that kills everyone. Like I understand those two conflicts, and she's not a violent person and she doesn't want to see everyone dead. And then obviously we see that change at the end of the season. But I feel like that is a big conflict, and I just don't think they fleshed it out enough. Like I think it was the undertone of the season and what they wanted to explore. They just didn't do it well enough. So we don't feel this. We're now arguing about it because we didn't see it enough on screen, if that makes sense.
Completely agree. I feel like with my issue with Rhaenyra this season is a similar issue to kind of also Alicent and Daemon, is their characters were just a bit stagnant this season. For me, I've heard a lot of discourse online about, you know, books versus show comparison, what the characters are like in the books versus how they are on the show. I'm judging this as a piece of film or filmmaking or TV. I'm not gonna necessarily critique the show for if there's book inaccuracies. If it works on the screen and if it's good for the story and the characters,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I'm good with that.
For
My
sure.
issue here is one of the main complaints is in the books, Rhaenyra and Alicent, they're not as pure, they're not as noble. Rhaenyra's whole thing is she's really trying to remain noble and kind of just and you know all these things. But I just don't think that, especially when they meet up in the last episode, Alicent says like, "Oh, I'll give you King's Landing,
Come
etc."
away with me.
There is no way. The two of their biggest strengths as characters is the love that they have for their children, right? You saw this in season 1. In episode 9 of season 1, when Rhaenys could have just ended it all there.
She went to protect Aegon. Yeah.
She jumped in front of him and was willing to like die, in front of a dragon for her kids. At the end of season 2, you're telling me that's basically gone out completely out the window. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And this whole sort of like, Rhaenyra going to King's Landing and Alicent coming to Dragonstone, that whole thing. It like in Game of Thrones, it just wouldn't happen. Okay, I don't want to say like the show's realism or whatever, but it just comes off a bit clunky and cartoony.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Because surely someone like Larys would like, just by the way the series has been written in Game of Thrones, someone like Larys would find out that Rhaenyra has been in King's Landing.
Yeah.
Just by the way the shows have been written and have told us how they
all the spies and all 100%.
Or if that is possible, someone like Larys would figure out how to have Rhaenyra assassinated.
Yeah.
Like if it's that easy just to walk in and talk to her, like it just, I don't know, it just.
Yeah. I feel like there's a bit of a contradiction with Alicent's character. I kind of liked a lot of the scenes in the sort of first half of the season where, like, you know, she's sitting at the small council and you just slowly see her power and her control diminish as, you know, these men around her just completely take control and just cast her to the side.
Well,
I think those scenes were great. Like you see the audio when the audio kind of blends out and
sick,
she's just like there. I thought that was really good. Rhaenyra as well. I think she is. I think the book comparison apparently is like she's a much more sort of conflicted, darker character. She's willing to do more bad things to get what she wants. And I feel like there was the peak of her character in this season for me was when
the Red Sullivan.
When she summoned Vermithor and said, "You guys deal with the dragon," and literally watched as people got massacred, and then at the end
it was dark.
And I was like, "Oh my god, this is what I want. This is the Rhaenyra."
And the fact she was overseen on the balcony,
exactly.
So she's like protected by the balcony,
exactly,
and soldiers were holding them back, holding the illegitimate Targaryens back, and she's got this vantage point of all these people dying for her sort of religious sacrifice. It almost felt like a religious
exactly.
sacrifice.
I thought that was so like that Vermithor theme, the dragon scene was great, 100%.
It felt so haunted and creepy.
Exactly.
Like the way Vermithor was creeping out, but it was dark. beautiful.
camera angle.
Oh, bro,
following you
unbelievable.
around as well.
Also, I just want to give a quick shout out to Emma Darcy, who speaks the best Valyrian. Like of any actor ever on the show to do it. It's like brilliant. And I don't even like it's a made up language, but it just sounds so like
I don't know
one
if
with
you've
the
seen there's
character.
like loads of TikToks they've started making HBO.
Yeah, I have the character animations.
I love it. It's my favorite aspect. One of my favorite aspects of the series is when the characters speak in High Valyrian. So when Aemon did it with Aegon,
that was amazing.
The small council meeting, and then obviously you got Daemon's scenes with Rhaenyra. Incredible, man.
Yeah. Speaking of Daemon, let's talk about Daemon. So okay, you let out a big sigh there. Go on.
It was just another one of those that like throughout the whole season, finally we saw what they were doing. But why did we have to go in that loop for so long?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, fair enough. He, needs to battle with this idea, like, does he want the throne more than he feels like, is his duty and this, that and the other? And it just like, do we have to watch this play out again on loop for ages? And just showing us a flash forward to Game of Thrones? Is that really character development? It just kind of annoyed me.
Yeah, Manny?
I agree. I think the Daemon thing was the most irritating thing for me. I liked the conclusion of it, but I didn't feel like we had to spend so much time with him to get to that point. Either we didn't need him for like 3 or 4 episodes and he can give us like 20 to 30 minutes of just Daemon and him going through most of that arc, and then coming to the conclusion towards the end after his interaction with Oscar Tully.
Oscar Tully, what a boy.
That was actually quite fun scene. I like that.
And even the scene with Alice
Rivers.
Alice Rivers. Great character, man.
Like I really enjoyed the fact that he had to learn about the Song of Ice and Fire to the fact for him to finally bend the knee to Rhaenyra. But again, we had too many episodes of him going through the same thing where that wasn't necessary. You could have cut him out of 2-3 episodes. And I get it. I think they just wanted Matt Smith to be in pretty much every single episode of House of the Dragon. But we didn't need him in those episodes.
I've got a question for you guys then.
Go for it.
Because you mentioned you liked that he had to see the Song of Ice and Fire to bend the knee.
You're going to steal my question for me, but go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go on.
It's kind of 2 questions in one. The first one is the fact that he kind of needs a prophecy to determine he's going to bend the knee to his wife. And secondly, how do you guys feel about the concepts of like prophecy, dreams and sort of purpose, if you like, in contrast with characters having their own agency?
Yes. Thank you for saying that. I mean, I think like we haven't seen season 3. We don't know what he's going to do in season 3. But I still think like you said, Manny, they kind of just dragged that Harrenhal stuff out way too sort of long. It was kind of just, one dream after the next and next and next. And then it ends, with the dream sequence of, the White Walkers seeing Dany with the 3 dragons, etc. I just think like he got spooked and now he's like all of a sudden, okay, no, I promise I'm on Rhaenyra's side now, kind of thing. Whereas in reality, like that's not his character is always like to be this person who is somehow he's always dreaming of the throne. He's always trying to get there. And I know, like I said, we haven't seen season 3 yet, but it's just like, you go from black to white, like literally, like it's a bit of a. I think that transition was quite jarring for me a little bit, and also like.
Do you think Daemon's not like a grey? I think the way season 1 told his story,
so good.
I think there's 100% the desire, this whole second son thing of I think I'm better than my older brother. I've got the skills. I'm Targaryen law. I'm a fighter. I'm skilled. I read the scrolls and the books. But then there's also the thing of I think him wanting to be of use to the people he loves the most. So I think he actually really does love Rhaenyra.
I think he does.
And
I think he does.
We know he definitely loved his brother Viserys, but he wanted to be of need to them, and he wanted them to be shaped in the image of what he believes a Targaryen king or leader should be, which they didn't want to be, which I think is the interesting duality in Daemon.
And I think that's what, even to go back to your point a second, in terms of like Daemon, I think he has a love for Targaryens. He has a love of being Targaryen.
The traditions.
And so even back to your point in terms of like him switching from wanting to go to the throne and seeing the prophecy and suddenly bending the knee, I think that fits within his character because I don't think his underlining motive was he just wants power, is that he believes Targaryens are like, I need to be in power. And for him to see the same prophecy that Aegon, the first conqueror, saw, the same prophecy that Viserys came to understand, and now the Song of Ice and Fire that also Rhaenyra also knows that is going to happen, gave him a better understanding of what it means to be Targaryen, gave him a better understanding as to why Targaryens are in Westeros, and gave him a better understanding of what he needs to do. And through that vision, he realized that to be a true Targaryen that he actually believe he is, he has to bend the knee and he has to follow through with whatever he saw through the dreams, because that's his belief, and that's what the belief. The only reason why Aegon came to Westeros. So I don't think it betrayed his character in terms of him making that switch. I think it made sense for him to do that, and the only way for him to get to that point was for him to have all these visions and all these all the time spent in Ironhall as long as it was. So I really did appreciate that scene. It made me understand Daemon a lot more because he did that.
I don't think it was a betrayal of the character. I think it was more so, he sees Helena in the vision, and she basically tells him, you've just got a small role to play in this larger thing, right? But for me, as a character, as Daemon's character, you'd be a bit like, if you've grown up your entire life thinking that you're deserving of the throne, but then to learn that you're just like the most minuscule part. You are not Aegon the Conqueror.
Which
you are
Alice
not.
Rivers told him as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would be a bit more kind of, like I said, we haven't seen season 3 yet. We don't know. But it was sort of like Rhaenyra flies over and was just like, "Yo, what's up?" And he's like,
Cyrex blew him over.
yeah. And then he's like, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I like pissed off for like 8 episodes. I'm coming back. Don't worry. Like my point is like that. I just needed a little bit more from that, I think. Okay. But no, yeah. What did you think of the Harrenhal stuff?
I mean, I sort of get a bit more after what you said about the idea of like, his love of sort of his heritage, let's say, and like his house and what that means, and I guess that makes more sense to me. But I don't know. I just think just like taking a step back and as a storytelling tool, it's maybe just one I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah.
Like I would have loved to see more of Daemon's conflict and what that meant for his relationship with Rhaenyra and like how that worked out, and sort of almost seeing them fight it out. Maybe some influence from sort of his children and what that meant for them, and all of this
so
sort of
frustrating
stuff.
That the
like,
daughter,
like all of that sort of like family politics and character relations, I guess personally is what I like to see in stories like this, and what I loved about season 1. So for me, I maybe just didn't like it that much as a storyline in general, if that makes sense.
You made a great point.
You go for it.
So maybe I'm like very particular, but there's small things about shows that I really appreciate. So the amount of time we've seen Daemon spend with his children, I think we saw him in season 1 in Pentos with Baelor teaching her sort of High Valyrian, and Rhaenyra felt neglected. That's bit like it's only been touched upon. I know it's like a minuscule aspect of the overall story, but for Daemon, they made it a purpose to show Rhaenyra. Sorry, so before I meant Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
But they made a purpose of showing one of Daemon's visions with Rhaenyra. And the second one, she said, have you looked after our children or something? Like that's an aspect like it's not been explored, which is so frustrating for me because it shapes Daemon as a character. Yeah,
100%. I really agree with both what you're saying. I feels like this season was on paper, it seemed like a good idea for Daemon to kind of take a detour. You get to understand more into the psyche of this character, what made him who he is now, like, but you only get kind of flashes of it. Like, for example, the whole like incest sex scene with his mother, and like, what does that mean? It was just kind of one scene that didn't really go anywhere, and then you see a scene with him and Viserys. We know he loves his brother. What does it mean though? Like, kind of all these kind of hints at what made him who he is, but not really going
like
into that kind of.
I feel like they were going for the like, oh yeah, he's a bit of a like, he has like a fucked up childhood, and like his feels inadequate with his mother, and because it's Game of Thrones, they wanted to throw in something a bit like that would make people be like, oh my god, that's disgusting, but like I did feel like in season 1 when they did the things that like super gory or a bit disgusting or like incest or whatever, like at least it had a narrative point. Like it felt more for a reason than being like, oh yeah, he's a bit of a like has a weird relationship with his mum. Like I just didn't feel like that
there was no purpose there.
It wasn't that helpful for me understanding Daemon as a character, whereas something like exploring his relationship with his children and what that expectation meant, and his relationship with Rhaenyra would have been much more interesting and told me a lot more about him.
I also couldn't take a lot of those scenes really seriously because they always end the same. They always end with what's the brother's name? They always come in. They always like come in like, what do you want, man? Like it almost felt like a comedy sketch in a way. So I don't know. Yeah, a little bit kind of. I thought it was an interesting idea to almost have like this haunted house aspect, like Daemon's gonna Harrenhal, like going and exploring, like almost like a character study. But I just don't. I think there was a bit of a weak.
It would have been a cool scene or like a cool episode.
Yeah,
but not.
I agree. As an episode,
It
it would have been a bit jarring in the scheme of the season, but when you watch it back, it would have been better than prolonging it through different episodes.
I think if you even to give us like 20 to 30 minutes of an episode, and then like another 5 minutes to give us the conclusion a few episodes later, it would have been fine.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the fact that they only did 8 episodes this season?
Wrong decision.
Okay, why?
You could see. I love the final episode. Firstly, I don't think it's a bad episode whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's not a great finale for what people would expect a finale to be. But firstly, I would say Game of Thrones has never given us great final episodes. The episode you expect 9 to be the great one is the penultimate episode, which the Red Sowing was. But you could see that there were certain scenes cut out. I think they've spoken, some of the writers and the shows and stuff have spoken about their frustration that the final 2 episodes were cut. So I think certain scenes from certain episodes had to be moved into episode 8. And you could see that, especially then the way it closed with the montage. And the montage was unreal, by the way. I loved it. It really got me sort of hyped for season 3. But you could see that towards the end of episode 8, I think, like, certain parts were sort of cut out to sort of fit in with the 8 episode structure, which is frustrating because we saw what happened with Game of Thrones and the whole 8 episodes sort of structure. So yeah, it was frustrating for sure. I think there's still a strong season, but 8 episodes wasn't enough for me personally.
I mean, speaking of those 8 episodes, in comparison, I mean, like, Game of Thrones usually has very good ratings most seasons for their episodes. Season 2 of House of the Dragon, I'm just going to run through like each IMDb rating on a whole. So we have episode 1, which comes in at 8.2.
Decent.
8.3, episode 2. Episode 3 was a 7.6. Episode 4, anyone want to guess episode 4?
I bet it's like a 9.7.
9.5. 9.5. Easily the strongest episode of the season according to ratings.
Was that the episode when the dragons?
Yeah. Episode 5, 7.3. Episode 6, 6.2. Episode.
Is that the small folk episode?
Yeah. Episode 7, 8.8. And episode 8, the finale, 6.3.
Harsh.
even episode 5, the small folk one.
Yeah,
that's it.
I quite like the small folk one.
I really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah.
I've seen quite a lot of people complaining because of what's her name, the servant with Rhaenyra.
Mysaria.
Yeah, because them 2 lips.
Yeah.
And a lot of people start complaining. It's like, bro, that annoyed me. It's like, get a grip. And I think that's one main reasons why it got reviewed.
Oh yeah, it got review bombed for sure.
Just because of that scene.
It's just a classic example of like the internet just doing something for. I mean, I don't necessarily think that scene was great. I did think it was a bit pointless.
Yeah, I can't lie. I didn't like the scene, and I don't, not because I don't like their relationship. I think their relationship could, under another pass at writing it or something, could have been good, but it was like that, I'm going to open up to you about my like childhood rape and trauma, and then suddenly you're going to kiss me. Like, in what world is that going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, it was just like all of their relationship was so like, I felt like clunky, and like I really wanted it to be something good, and it just never gave me what I wanted from it.
That could have been further along in the season potentially if it had been 10 episodes, and then that might have made a bit more sense.
I mean,
maybe
potentially, but it's like for me, there was no hints or clues that any like sexual chemistry there or anything like that. It just felt sort of like, let's do something shocking. Let's just kiss for no kind of reason.
Yeah, it just didn't. It didn't really like. It was so like not about that. Especially, and like even this is what annoyed me. Like even in Game of Thrones, they took the piss out of that whole like plot point. You know when why are all the names dropping out? No. Oh, fuck. Sorry, I've totally lost. You know
describe
the dwarf.
Tyrion.
Tyrion. Thank you. I don't know what is going
the dwarf.
on.
Yeah.
The dwarf. Okay, cut that all out, please. But you know when Tyrion's saying about the first time he like fell in love with the prostitute and like and all of this kind of stuff, and you know, what's her face?
Mysaria.
Shay.
Thank you. Sorry. Shay is like to him like, what did you expect? Like she had just like been attacked. She wasn't going to jump into bed with you.
Yeah.
As like how are you that stupid to think that was real? Like even then, they were taking the piss out of that narrative, and yet suddenly it's in this season as like we're meant to believe it. Like I don't know. I just felt like they knew. Like I mean, I know they're different writers and everything, but like it's a known thing that this is stupid to do, and they even took the piss out of it in Game of Thrones.
I don't mind the scene. I just had an issue where it happened. Like
execution, isn't it?
Yeah,
it just didn't work. Like there wasn't chemistry. Sorry, go on.
Because I felt like there was a scene where Lucerys, not Lucerys, the other one, Jacaerys, sees them two on.
Yeah.
And I thought that was
When
coming.
they were on Dragonstone.
And I thought
outside.
that scene was actually going to come because of that interaction. I just didn't like
Chase.
Jace, what a guy.
The
Brooding.
pants. I just like the scene happening right then and there after her dumping and trauma.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, but I did feel like something was building, or they were trying to build something. I just didn't like where it happened. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, exactly. Execution was great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it happening a few episodes later down the line.
Yeah.
I think it had potential to be good. That's why I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it had potential to be interesting and maybe a bit like, because they're both like quite different but work well together, but maybe could be explosive. Like, it was an interesting setup. Just the
And you
execution
got the
was really
triangle
poor.
of that was Daemon's former lover as well.
Yeah.
You could have met,
Yeah.
Exactly, that
yeah.
could have been really interesting, but no.
Yeah.
She loves the triangle, doesn't she?
Just building off the whole 8-episode structure, for me, what I feel like, obviously I'm in agreement. I think you should realistically be doing 10 episodes per season, especially second season. You need those. You need more. I think that if there were 2 more episodes, what I would have liked to have seen, and I know we got quite a bit of it, was more time with the Dragon Seeds, more time with Adam of Hull, more time with Ulf,
Ulf the White.
and
Bring my birds.
and Hugh Hammer. I mean, Hugh Hammer, we had a decent kind of thing there, but I just feel like, for me, one of my main issues with episode 7, even though it was an incredible scene, was I just did feel like Rhaenyra kind of went from like losing the war so badly because Rhaenys got taken out, losing the war so badly in one episode. She basically gets 3 dragons, just like that. I would have felt like if you had an additional episode or 2, you would have been able to give more bit to Adam of Hull. You would have given a little more to Ulf, etc., and made their bonding with their dragons feel a little more kind of earned in a way.
Would you have liked to have seen how we saw it to an extent? Would you have liked to have seen them firstly bonding with their dragons, as in when they become the dragon rider, and then sort of learning
yes.
That cut was so uncomfortable.
Exactly. I was so confused because it went from the shot of Emma Darcy kind of looking all like, oh shit, like I've got like a couple more dragon riders now, to then the small council meeting where you hear the people of King's Landing kind of screaming, oh my god, dragon, da 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 da. And I looked outside, I remember in the reaction you can see is that sea smoke? Is it, what is it? Like which dragon is it? And then it's Ulf on Silverwing. I'm like, when did this happen? Did Rhaenyra tell him to go to King's Landing?
That was confusing.
What was the strategy behind it? It was an incredible scene, with Emma Darcy at the very end, like kind of looking outwards towards Aemond. Amazing scene, but I'm like,
did she lure them their intention?
Was it purposeful?
Yeah.
Was it an accident?
Yeah, like I did. Yeah, there was massive information gap there, but I mean,
it feels like the more we're talking about it, I'm finding, I love season 2, but I'm finding serious holes. I loved it as well, don't get me wrong, but I'm definitely finding holes
I'm a bit of a mixed bag with this one.
I feel like one thing as well when you speak about the Dragon Seeds, like they're all sort of caricature characters.
Yeah,
like it would have been like there's the bastard son that's like bad relationship with the father, there's the like honorable guy, and there's the like drunk, and that's all we know about them. Like we don't have,
that's what I mean.
We don't have anything else, and their dragons kind of match that, but like there's nothing more, and it would have been interesting if there was more episodes.
I agree on that.
Yeah. Even with like Hugh Hammer, who claims Vermithor, which was an incredible scene. He kind of just screams at the dragon and then the dragon bows. I'm like, I feel it's cool, like it's such an epic moment, but it's like it feels like all of it is just like they just win the lottery and nothing's kind of earned. Do you know what I mean? Like
if we knew more about him and like all of that, we might have felt more jeopardy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like with Jon Snow eventually riding Rhaegal in season 8, at least in season 7, you had that moment where he was kind of touching Rhaegal, and then Drogon, and Daenerys was like, holy shit, what's going on? And you can kind of see that sort of dragon seed is sort of being planted in a way, and that connection is kind of being built. Whereas this, like, Ulf just kind of like sort of, he's like kind of like the goofy guy who just like stumbles out, and he's like, oh my god, there's a dragon, and the dragon Silverwing is just like, yeah, sure, why not?
That felt like a comedy. When he claimed Silverwing, that felt like a comedy.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like tonally, it just felt something was a bit off.
I think Ryan Condal, the showrunner, I believe.
Yep.
He was saying that they made an intentional decision, and some people will feel differently about it, but they made an intentional decision to have a lot more sort of humor within the season.
Yeah, no,
so
yeah.
I think we saw that with Aegon's Kingsguard.
Yes.
The first few seasons
Yes,
where they were quite jovial.
That-
Off the White, obviously, and I think Simon Strong was sort of utilised as a sort of comic relief as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Which I think makes sense in one way of the tone of the series, which is quite dark at
Yeah.
times, but then I think execution at times was a bit...
100%.
But I think there's like great to have comic relief, and like I have no issue with that. But you don't want the poignant scenes to be
Yeah.
funny. Like you
Yeah.
don't want to be creasing at Daemon's dreams. Like
Yeah.
that just
Yeah.
feels wrong. Whereas
Yeah.
like having the like guards or whatever, and having like some like comic relief is great. But like it just didn't work.
Speaking of comedy, I think, but hands down, the funniest scene in the entire season for me was when Aegon was, telling Otto like I've sent Sir Eric, I've sent Sir Eric to assassinate Rhaenyra, and bro is just like, what? that was brilliant.
Yeah, that was
Brilliant.
great. That was great.
And Otto Hightower, I mean,
He's
everyone
great.
went from season 1 like, this guy's a piece of shit. I
like
hate him.
He's my guy.
He's
great.
He's so good.
Yeah.
And I kind of missed him a little bit in the second half of the season.
Yeah,
I think.
definitely.
Tim Green definitely missed him as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. He must have been fired and rehired as Hand of the King, like 10 times by now or something.
I think Team Green made a lot of... Naturally, you'd expect them to, but they made a lot of just stupid decisions.
100%. Yeah.
The moment they put Aegon on the throne, they made stupid decisions.
For me as well, like with regards to the politics, specifically in the writing and stuff, I feel like season 2 really showed that when Otto Hightower is there, the politics are really kind of, it feels like Game of Thrones. It feels good. But when they all just kind of look like a bit, they just look really foolish and just, it's not quite the...
What was the dumbest decision that you think they made?
What was the dumbest decision I think the Greens made this season?
It could be the rat catchers, parading Meleese.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
I think
it was, or just a lot of the decisions they made, like about the food and the how to handle the small folk.
Yep.
Just like the general harshness on the people generally, I think was going to really feed into, because like parading the dragon, the rat catchers, bad symbols. But I just think, and I know they can't really change a blockade, but just like making sure they're more sensitive about it and like doing more things to like try and like get the small folk
people
on their side.
And that's what Otto understood, where the rest didn't. He said, you can't kill, these people all have mothers, and you're going to turn the people against you.
Which Mysaria sort of took to her favour.
The blacks used it as for their advantage when they were sending out the care packages, all that stuff as well. I think the silliest decision made by a character this season was Aegon getting on Sunfire and going straight to try and fight. But bro,
but that was.
I don't understand why he did it.
So good though.
Let's talk about it. So I mean, one of the biggest season highs, episode 4, the Dance of Dragons. Take it away. Anyone?
I'll go, yeah. Firstly, my favourite part of the episode, you probably know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
My favourite part of the episode wasn't even the fight, and I think the fight was incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best sort of spectacles of dragons interacting that we've seen. I think we got to know a bit more about Meleese and her relationship with Rhaenys. We got
so
to know,
good.
We saw the one scene of Aegon before he left the Red Keep with Sunfire. And the way they bonded. It was like, whoa,
really
there's some
nice.
humanity to you.
Yeah.
Somewhere there. Obviously, Vhagar, we got to see that Aemon has ever so slightly more control, I guess, or a stronger bond with Vhagar compared to how he rode Vhagar in episode 10 in season 1.
Yeah.
Like, there's a clear sort of relationship there. But my favourite scene was the small council scene where like Aemon spoke High Valyrian to Aegon and just belittled him. And that was the real showing of, I'm coming for your throne.
Yeah.
Even if you can't see it, I'm coming for your throne. And I think Aegon became aware that his time could be not up per se, but the throne was up for grabs.
That was a really good
I think
episode.
Aegon was such a great character this season. Even the scene where
Glynn-Carney is so good.
he's really good.
Yeah.
He's really good. Even the scene where Larys Strong, when Aegon's saying, I'll kill my brother, I'll kill Aemond, and Larys Strong is being like, right, but what are you going to do when Rhaenyra then comes to you? What's Vhagar going to do? You don't want to kill your biggest, strength. Yeah, you need him. So yeah, I also I saw Pulp Kitchen podcast talk about this, but the idea of dragons being a metaphor for nuclear bombs, essentially. And in season 1, it's all about like, and there's this almost undercurrent of nuclear weapons, and it's like everyone's
Arms
like
war.
trying not to press the button. It's just this tension. It's the tension that's like sort of constant throughout the entire season. Do I take things by force? Do I go and use my dragon and just take over? And what does that mean? Or do I want to, really think about these?
Even in season 2, a lot of the small council scenes, and they were a bit repetitive for Rhaenyra in terms of the Team Black. A lot of her small council were telling her, go up, take your dragon. We need dragons, use dragons. And she's so resistant, which is the point you made about her sort of being like her father of a series.
Yeah.
But you could feel the brewing, especially even in season 2, up until Rook's Rest, you could still feel that brewing tension of using our dragons. And I think that's why maybe Daemon sent Blood and Cheese rather than him riding on Caraxes to King's Landing. Like, let's utilise Blood and Cheese because we don't want to use our dragons just yet.
Yeah.
And in the end, Rook's Rest happens and boom.
Rhaenys this season.
Eve Best is incredible.
R.I.P. man. Yeah. Gosh, what a spectacle that episode was, for sure. And then Kristen Cole as well, just seeing the might of the dragons and realizing, holy shit, like, what the hell am I doing here?
Oh, this guy.
Yeah, he likes Kristen Cole now.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
To be honest, I think a lot of people changed about him in the kind of second half of the season.
That's the most interesting part, before you go, but the most interesting part about season 2 is that it's completely changed my perspective on mostly the characters in Team Green. So Larys. Even though he's a weirdo, I like Larys as a character. Weirdo. I like Larys. Otto, I like Otto as characters.
Otto
Kristen Cole, a complete flip on his character.
Can't lie, I still think he's annoying.
No, he is. But it's made us empathise or understand or get to know them more than we did in season 1. But I think that's what he was going to get into.
I think everything that happens on the back of the Dance of the Dragons with Melis and Vhagar and Sunflower to an extent really changed Christian Cole's perspective, and I think accumulates towards when he has the conversation with Gwen Hightower. So Gwen Hightower, and that is one of my favourite scenes of the season. Just the interaction that he has in terms of him just talking about him losing his honour for sleeping with the queens and saying, but I'm no different to any other man. But now it's gotten to the point of, but now I've seen what dragons can do. What am I really in terms of the aspect of this world? Because before the scenes at
Rook's Rest,
thank you, he was very like gung-ho. He was very like, I will take charge of the situation, I'll be the leader that you need me to be. And then on the back of that, he just seems very suicidal now, like just in terms of like, I can die in a minute and I'm okay with that, because we've seen the aftermath of when he woke up after being knocked down unconscious, and he goes towards one of his soldiers, when we see the armor from behind, as soon as he taps him, he just see nothing but dust. And I've seen the power of, like, even to say like nuclear bombs. It's saying like he's now experienced that to the point of, I don't have the power to actually do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And it changes perspective in life. And I really enjoyed the writing of Christian Cole specifically, because first the episode I couldn't stand the guy. I literally couldn't stand the guy. But the more that the episodes went on, that I understood him a bit more. Still don't like him, but I like his character a lot more than I did when
I think the point you made, I think the whole concept of him understanding the might of dragons is also potentially a metaphor for who Targaryens are as well. So like him seeing what Aemond was willing to do to his younger brother to have the throne, the fact he was willing to potentially, I think he drew for his sword, right? And that's when Kristen Cole comes in, the fact that he knows that Kristen Cole said Dracarys and took down Sunfire and Aegon. Like the dragon concept is more than just the might of dragons and the nuclear threat of them. It's also who Targaryens are as well.
It's like, these people are clearly unstable.
So
we could die any second, bro. Rhaenyra could come over and kill all of us now if she wanted. So he realizes he's very much a pawn, and he doesn't actually have any real power. He just doesn't. Even like you saw that as well when Baylor got on Moondancer and chased them. Like, do you remember? Like they went for them for us, man.
Needed more Baylor.
Definitely, man. And Rhaenyra as well, getting Sheep Stealer at the end. I didn't feel like that plot thread kind of was all that this season. I'm looking forward to seeing more of where that goes in season 3. But
because there's a lot in there with sort of Rhaenyra's character. This is why the show is so interesting, but could be so much more interesting, because we've seen glimpses of Rhaenyra feeling inadequate compared to her sister Baylor, and so on and so forth. But it hasn't been dived into enough. We just get a scene here of her looking gloomy and pouting, and then next minute she's riding up. She's around. She was at the Vale.
She's at the Vale,
with Lady Jane Arryn, and it wasn't enough of it for me. And I think that speaks to the whole Daemon's here, Baylor's here, Rhaenyra's here. There's not enough togetherness.
100%. Yeah. That's why I wish there was at least in like another 2 episodes there to give us something a little more for these other characters. But No, yeah. I mean, look, Helena was also great. I just want to give her a quick
Yeah.
Oh,
shout.
yeah,
I wanted
love
a bit
her.
more from her as well, a little bit, because I think she's
She's
a
an
great
interesting
character.
character.
She is.
Do you know why I find her so interesting as well? It speaks to Viserys and Alicent for me being bad parents. Viserys always spoke about dreamers and, I don't know if we have Targaryen dreamers in the family. There's one right under your nose.
Yeah.
That whole time. And from what we saw, you barely spent any time with Helena.
Yeah.
Which speaks to how she was just treated by the whole family anyway, other than maybe Alicent, who showed...
But he always wanted a son, isn't it? That's what he wanted. Yeah. He was
sacrificed his wife for it.
Yeah, man. He did indeed. But yeah, no, I mean, unless anyone else has any more thoughts on season 2, I think more or less a kind of breakdown of House of Dragons season 2. Do let us know what you thought of the season down below in the comment section. In classic podcast fashion, we are gonna play some games. Everyone's favorite part of the episode. First game is we're just gonna play a game of hot takes. So, guys, I have some cards here for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to read out some hot takes, and you just tell us or hold up the card whether you agree or disagree with the statement. Okay. So, hot takes, House of the Dragon edition. So, agree or disagree? Neither Rhaenyra Targaryen or Aegon Targaryen deserve the crown.
Deserve.
Ooh, okay, guys. Tell us why you agree.
Aegon just...
Yeah, Aegon is
That doesn't
Aegon.
explain it, to be
What about
fair.
Rhaenyra?
I think, based upon the way she's been written, she hasn't shown enough for me to show. I think she in an ideal world she'd be a great leader. But it's not an ideal world. You're living in a world full of conflicts at this present moment where your throne has been usurped and you've lost a son. And I don't think there's been enough. She's not taken enough sort of purpose or drive to
Leadership?
yeah, especially, and it's tough for her because she's a woman in a quotation mark man's world. So I do have sympathy for her, but even some of the sort of small council meetings, for example, I don't think she's shown enough of her Targaryen-ness, if you like. And the fact that it's taken characters like Rhaenys to come in, due to the fact they have more experience, she's come into and she can sort of hold the small council. Or when Corlys walks in, I think in episode 4, I believe it is, and Corlys demands the room. Unfortunately, again, it speaks to the misogyny of the times, but yeah, I just don't think she's shown enough sort of drive, I guess.
Yeah, Clara. There we go.
No, I just feel like opposite, because I think what I feel like about the leaders is that, you want, or if I wanted a leader, I'd want them to be a pacifist. I'd want them to not want to go to war unless they literally had zero other options and unleash dragons on the world. And I think it speaks, I mean, again, I think this season should have shown her inner conflict a bit more, but just talking about a leader, I think it speaks to putting the people that you are the queen of before your own personal anger or need for revenge.
But she sacrificed
against her son.
45 illegitimate Targaryens and saw them burned alive.
No, I know. It changes at the end. That's true. That is true.
So she has shown that she's
Ruthless.
But
like
capable,
45 people versus like burning an entire city.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's be honest, she's probably going to go on to burn the entire city. I don't know how this ends, so like my card may change, but like so far.
Yeah.
Well, on that question, on a similar, Manny, who do you think deserves the Iron Throne the most of any character in the show?
The one who's
Larys Strong.
Rhaenyra.
Rhaenys, you mean?
Oh,
ooh,
Rhaenys definitely.
Yeah, Rhaenys.
Currently out of the characters alive.
Yeah, she's still alive, but yeah, Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra?
It's her throne. She's the one that got robbed of it, essentially. And obviously, I don't think none of this conflict would be happening if Alicent didn't do what she did, and I feel like the kingdom will still be in peace.
I still think they would have found a way to usurp her, which they actually said they planned to do in the following episode. They had already planned at some point that the team Green Council had already said we were going to make moves to make sure that Aegon gets the throne.
100%.
So I think that was going to happen either way.
Yeah.
Even though I agree with you, Alicent is at fault. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so next, House of Dragon hot take. We have House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 4, The Dance of Dragons, is the best we've ever seen dragons in the show.
Ooh. That's a tough one because I haven't seen that. I prefer...
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Disagree.
You said dragons, right?
Dragons, or dragon, as dragon scene. Okay. Oh, okay. Manny, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I want to start with Gaz because I can't think of a dragon scene that I would prefer above this. I feel like guys needs to make a case as to what.
There's two scenes that I absolutely adore. Both of them are Vermithor scenes. The first one is in season 1, episode 9, I think it is, when Daemon's singing High Valyrian to Vermithor. And again, that whole creepy, you can see he's the second biggest dragon there is currently. The whole lore, the whole Targaryen, the whole majestic sort of magic and ancient feeling of that scene was great. And I think Matt Smith was incredible in terms of him. You can clearly see he's sort
Bro
of...
took singing lessons.
Yeah, he's learned to sing, and he's obviously very, very well versed in High Valyrian.
Yeah.
And then the scene in episode 7 with Rhaenyra and Vermithor. Those are two of my favourite dragon scenes personally.
The aura.
Yeah. So, although I completely understand why people would prefer Rock's Rest and the Dance of the Dragons, just the richness of those two scenes for me is why I disagree.
Is that?
Yeah, similarly, I thought it was cool, but yeah, I thought when the whole like sacrifice of all the bastards, like I did think that scene was just like incredible.
Yeah.
And I do actually think the scene where, Rhaenyra's son dies. Yeah, I thought that was really well done. Like when you first see the like outline of
the shadow of Vhagar.
Yeah.
Above,
no, like when the
outline
lightning comes and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I thought that was incredible as well.
Yeah. I think it is the best dragon fight, but we haven't really seen another fight aside from Viserion in season 8. But I think in terms of the best dragon scenes, I think it's top 5, maybe even top 3. Yeah. For me, I think the ones that kind of rival it, the big dragon moments that really rival it for me is Battle of the Bastards. The first half of that episode was Daenerys coming back and burning the entire fleet. When she's the slave traders, they think that they're going to surrender, and then Drogon comes, and there's this massive musical Targaryen cue done by Ramin Djawadi.
Unbelievable,
it's incredible, and she burns the fleet, which I thought was like, because it was like Tyrion, Missandei, all of them, they were kind of just stuck, and as soon as Dany came back, she was like, nah, fuck this, man, I'm taking control. That was amazing. I also think the scene that still gives me goosebumps is the long night where they first light the trenches with Jon Snow and Dany first light the trenches, and you can finally sort of see. Again, a lot of credit goes to Ramin Djawadi for the music and all that stuff, but I thought it was incredible. And also,
for sure.
Yeah, but also when I know it was a cliche moment, but I remember this episode got leaked before it aired. It was season 7, episode 6, Beyond the Wall, where all the boys go beyond the wall to try and retrieve a white, and then Dany saves them. And we all knew it was going to happen, but that moment where all 3 dragons come and you see them in a kind of Arctic environment and them like taking down White Walkers, I was like, oh my goodness. And the Night King obviously claiming Viserion. I think dragon moments, those are the
I think
ones.
the thing about Rook's Rest, I think that was the best showing in terms of how destructive dragons can actually be and how much damage they can cause by just being there.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's probably, I think it's definitely still is my favourite, especially episode with dragons involved so far.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great, definitely the best dragon fight as well. Meleys versus Vhagar and Sunfire as well. Yeah, crazy stuff. All right, up next we have Daemon's shenanigans in Harrenhal are good and building up to something important. I'm going to disagree. Okay, I think we're all. I think we've kind of covered this, but
yeah, I think it's already built up to the important part. I don't think anything more from that scene is gonna.
Alicent Hightower is overrated. No, sorry, Alicent Hightower is underrated. She's actually the best and most interesting character in House of the Dragon. Oh. I'm saying.
Yes, sorry, I was on the right one. Cool.
I'm saying disagree.
I'm not really sure. Like,
you're going in the middle.
It's hard. I'll say yes just to be controversial.
Okay, tell
us. What I mean, you see, I haven't formulated my opinion yet. No, I do think she's an interesting character. I think it is. I think seeing someone get power in a very like what is quintessentially like a feminine way is interesting. And what she does with that and how she makes the right decisions. Because obviously Rhaenyra is a woman and like you said, she's in like a man's world and all of that. But she's doing everything in a very masculine way. Like she needs to command the table through being like a strong, powerful presence. You know, she wants to ride a dragon. She's talking about holding a sword and being more violent, and all of these things that are like, I know I'm speaking very like broad stereotypical terms, but like something she's quintessentially doing the masculine power. Whereas Alicent has done it through, you know, being a good wife, falling in love with the king, being a mother, guiding her children, and, you know, you could say whether she's a good or a bad person in that. It's just interesting seeing that sort of trajectory, and I feel like you don't see much of that. And then what that means, I guess, in this season when, you know, her sons grow up and take that away from her, and like what that means for her and her realization of who she's been doing this for is very interesting. And I think, something that we don't see that often.
I think the strongest aspect of Alicent for me is the idea that she is actually a good person, at least in the show. Deep down, I think she's a good person. However, she's willing to forego all her morals just for her children, and that compromise for me, I think, is one of the most interesting aspects of her character in the show. Gaz, were you gonna say that?
I was gonna say also she's quite bound to. In the series, it's quite hard to understand at times, but she's quite bound to her faith and her. There's some sort of higher being that we're sort of supposed to be faithful to, I guess. And I think you can see that in season 1 and parts of season 2. And I can't remember the place she visits. Do you remember the name specifically?
The Scepter Baelor. The Scepter Baelor.
Yeah, and she's lighting the candles. We see it in season 1 as well. I think that's quite an interesting aspect to her character and the sort of conflicts of what's right and wrong versus your sort of her belief in faith, I guess.
You know what's interesting? For me, that the whole religion aspect of Alicent for me was almost like, it was quite interesting because I don't know if I actually believe that she believes in that stuff. For me, it's almost like she's just tried to find comfort in something. Do you know what I mean? Like she's not like she's definitely not a religious fanatic or anything like that. She doesn't like go out and say, you know, you got to go to church essentially, but it's more so she finds that's her place of like comfort and like solitude and just sort of like where she can kind of go away from the patriarchy and kind of
it's like her personal.
Yeah, exactly. That's her personal place.
But she also uses it to judge.
Yeah,
Rhaenyra, for example.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think she uses it to judge, but most of what she's using it to try and justify her actions, I think, in a way. But no, definitely a great character though, for sure. Next up we have Otto Hightower is a better Hand of the King than Tywin Lannister.
That's a good one, you know. I like that.
Oh, disagree?
Tywin.
Ooh, yeah. I think I'll also go disagree. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Do we want to say why?
Can I just say Tywin's incredible and that's the only reason?
He's a bad boy.
Yeah, he's just cold. Yeah. No, I think there was. I think Otto. I think we spent more time with Tywin, so we got to see the fact that he was self-serving in one aspect, but the self-serving to an extent helped avoid. I don't know.
Do you know what? I'm actually going to change. I'm going to change my answer.
I think why.
I'm actually changing my answer. So go.
I mean, he allowed Joffrey to sit there. I don't know.
Yeah, but the thing about he was always able to control the kings.
Yes.
In comparison to Otto, he wasn't able to control Aegon. That's why he got fired. That wouldn't have been to Tywin. He wouldn't have reacted like that in that moment.
Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. Build your own small council. Okay. So you are the king or queen, and I'm going to go through the different categories. You're going to tell me out of the options I'm going to present to you, which of these characters you would have as X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Ready? And together as a group, we have to build the ultimate small council given the options. You ready?
I like this a lot.
Okay, cool. Actually, let's start off with Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. So, you know what? I'm actually going to remove Arthur Dayne because he's just too OP. He's just too OP, man. Okay, so we've got Sir Barristan Selmy. We've got Jaime Lannister, Criston Cole, and Brienne of Tarth. Who are you picking as your Lord Commander of the Kingsguard?
It's either Barrister Selmy. But is this like peak Barrister or is...
This is Barristan Selmy in season 1 of Game of Thrones.
And when it was Jaime Lannister?
Jaime Lannister. Jaime Lannister wasn't... No, Barristan Selmy was still Lord Commander, wasn't he? Yeah, he was.
I feel like Jaime Lannister's just a bit like... His loyalties are too much elsewhere. Like he's not just going to be there all the time. He's in love with his sister. There's a lot of complicated things going on for him.
So not Jaime Lannister.
No.
That's what I think.
So I I might need to rewatch. I don't think Thrones showed him to be a great like leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what we were told, a skilled warrior. Because I don't think we actually got to see much.
Our prime Jamie Lannister would have been.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't get to
Deadly.
see that enough, I don't think. So, yeah, I can't go Jamie. I would go Brienne, but I think men are men in that world and it's a difficult ask.
I think it would be hard for her.
Yeah.
But I do feel like she was always the most like loyal.
Yeah.
And you know she would just like do anything.
And she's a skilled.
Although she did, I mean, Renly did die. Renly Baratheon did
Yeah, but
die.
that's like it's black magic.
100, yeah, sure.
And who was the third option?
Kristen Cole.
Oh yeah, no thanks.
So
No.
between Selmy
I'm going Barristan.
Barristan Selmy?
okay. I wouldn't mind Brienne, I can't lie.
Brienne, I just think she would be so loyal is
Okay.
the thing.
So who are you going for? Barristan Selmy,
I'm going Brienne.
Brienne,
Yeah, I agree with you.
Brienne?
Because it's Selmy from season 1, right?
Yeah.
But even bearing, you have, like, the times, I would go, ideal world where men aren't men and it's not misogynistic, Brienne's ideal
Yeah.
because of the skills you mentioned and the sort of personality she showed. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has to command, isn't
Yeah,
it? Like all
yeah.
those people have to be so loyal
Yeah.
to her as well.
I think I'm going with Barristan Selmy as well, just because he fought with Rhaegar. He, like, the experience that he has, and at, like, his old age, still went through the Sons of the Harpy and, like, had to get, like, 10 of them to kill him.
And at the end of the day, like, they should really be your last line of defense as a warrior themselves.
Yeah.
Like, the point of them is that
Yeah.
they're commanding other people.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Also,
okay,
I just
fine.
want to say that when he got kind of fired or / resigned, as the thing, when the Lannister said, "You're too old, go away," he literally, like, when he took off his armor and he said, "Even now, I could cut through all of you and get that." Oh, so cold. Anyways,
Oh, fuck Joffrey. Why did he do that?
okay. So up next we have Grand Maester. We've got two options for this. We've got Qyburn
Ooh.
with his mad experiments,
Yeah, crazy
who
guy.
brought back the mountain,
Crazy guy.
or Samwell Tarly.
Sorry. Sam, my guy.
No, the smart guy.
Yeah, I'm thinking the mad scientist.
They're both smart.
Yeah, but Sam is like,
Sam's
no.
book smart, right?
Yeah, he's book smart.
Yeah.
But he
You
did
want
cure.
that-
He did cure Jorah Mormont from grayscale. That's never been done before.
It has, though.
They both done mad experiments, and Sam, we only saw the start of his sort of time.
Some will learn how to do it because he read it from a book that you just have to keep peeling off for ages.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
I
sorry,
feel
I'm
like,
taking.
You're taking
my
Qyburn.
scientist,
yeah, I think me too. As long as you could control
I've
him.
been, it's fine. With me.
Yeah, let's go with Qyburn then.
it's cool.
I think.
This
Yeah.
one, Samuel.
I was a bit on the fence on it, if I'm honest. Yeah.
Well,
We can go Qyburn.
Up next, we have Master of Ships. So the options for this are Corlys Velaryon, Euron Greyjoy, and Sir Davos Seaworth. I'm taking Corlys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Corlys,
Yeah.
like he's got the fleet, bro.
Steve Toussaint.
Pretty standard one then. Up next, we have Master of Laws. So I've got two categories for this. First category we're going to do is a bit of a fun one, and it's three options. It's either Joffrey Baratheon, Ramsay Bolton, or the High Sparrow. Master of Laws.
Master of
Say that again.
Laws.
Oh, you can't do that.
Joffrey Baratheon, Ramsay Bolton, or the High Sparrow.
I'm gonna have
See,
to
I'll
go
have a
with
religious
Joffrey 'cause
fanatic.
He's probably the only one out of them that will be easier to control.
Who? Joffrey. So
Yeah.
You're saying Joffrey.
Mm.
But he's in charge of making the laws.
But Ramsay
Why are
Bolton.
you just like?
No, this is a fun.
fucking
I'm going to give the
kingdom?
actual options in a second. But I
Okay,
just wanted to, out of those three, who would you, if you had to
I
pick?
think Ramsay's more
Yeah.
far gone than
Yeah, and the High Sparrow will just plot his way to become.
Yeah, Joffrey's the.
It has to be Joffrey.
Joffrey? Interesting. Okay. So the actual, now we're going to do Master of Laws. So the options are Missandei,
Okay.
Sansa Stark, Ned Stark, or Alicent Hightower.
Let's start.
Ned Stark? Yeah. We're going with old honourable Ned. Yeah?
Stefan, not Sansa.
Up next, we have the Master of Whisperers. So we have Larys Strong,
Hey.
we have Mysaria, the White Worm, Littlefinger, Lord Varys, or Cersei Lannister.
I think Cersei Lannister is off the board.
Yeah, no.
She has no tact.
The White Worm,
Mysaria?
maybe.
Why? Sorry.
I don't know. Just feel like with the others, you don't want someone that could plot against you. Whispers are powerful.
I'm gonna say Varys then, because I actually think Varys, everything he did was what he thought
Yep.
was for the best of the realm.
That's true.
Yeah.
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 I don't think he was ever self-serving in comparison to.
But I feel like if you know what, like, I feel like the problem with the best for the realm, you can disagree on that.
Yeah, that's
Whereas,
it's up for debate.
it's up for debate. Whereas if someone's like, if you know what someone wants, like respect and freedom, for example, those are things you can give to someone. Whereas if someone just wants your throne, then you're fucked. But I don't know. That's why I'd pick her, I think.
So Mysaria,
I'll go
Varys.
Varys, yeah.
I'm going with Varys. It's so funny how we all skipped over. You said Littlefinger, right?
Littlefinger.
Yeah.
Skipped over Littlefinger.
Yeah, broken move out here. It's interesting.
No, I understand.
I think
why
Varys
you
is
go
what I think.
Varys.
Mysaria, she's done great so far, I think. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know what her true intentions are.
Say again.
I don't know what her true intentions are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair, I think. Okay, up next we have Master of Coin. So we have Bronn, Tyrion Lannister, Tyland Lannister, or Littlefinger.
Master of Coin. Who was the first option again? Sorry?
Bronn.
Ron. I'm going with Tyrion.
It's not Sir Bronn.
Tyrion?
Sir Bronn's never.
Yeah, Tyrion.
Because when he was Master of Coin, he done a lot, no?
I don't think it was a major plot point for because he was Hand of the King in the second season, and then he got relegated to Master of Coin in third season when Tywin showed up. So I would go. Littlefinger was good with the money, though. I would say.
Yeah, but you just don't want him anywhere near your small council.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
true,
Like
true.
you just don't want him there.
Cool. It's a good point. Tyland Lannister is quite easy to like. He's got money because he's a Lannister. He's got resources, and you can kind of boss him around.
He's
So
an
maybe
idiot.
But people with
He's an
money
idiot.
aren't necessarily good at managing money.
no, they're not.
It
No.
wasn't the realm indebted to the Lannisters as well?
You mean the Lannisters were indebted to Essos, the Iron Bank?
But the king wasn't indebted to the Lannisters.
Yeah, it's all. But they it all feeds back to the Iron Bank. Yeah.
Okay.
So are we saying are we going with Tyrion then?
Yes.
Go with Tyrion. He seems harmless. Up next we have Master of War. So this is the military guy. Clara's a pacifist. We have Grey Worm. We've got Daemon Targaryen, Stannis Baratheon, Khal Drogo, Jorah Mormont,
Sorry.
Aemond Targaryen,
No.
or Jon Snow.
My
The first person that sprang to mind was Daemon.
Okay.
But
No, he's too trigger happy.
Yeah,
Too
that-
trigger happy.
That's my boy though.
again, but he's a leader.
That's my boy, you know. I might go with Jon Snow, you know.
Jon Snow.
Yeah, I feel like I'd go Jon Snow.
Moment? What was that one?
So there's
Stannis Baratheon.
Grey Worm, Stannis Baratheon, Khal Drogo, Jorah Mormont, Aemond Targaryen.
You need a bit of Jon Snow's luck, right? Because he just
A little bit of plot armor, yeah. Can I be honest? I think if I was choosing, I would go with Stannis Baratheon.
Yeah.
I think he, as a military, because he was always renowned for being a military commander. Like he was
He
great
was really good.
until the very end. He just sort of just gave up. But
Blackwater was
close.
Blackwater, yeah,
I'm gonna go with Stannis.
Stannis.
Yeah, I'm with you actually.
Because he almost took King's Landing if
He
it
did.
wasn't for Tyrion.
If it wasn't for Tywin coming in with the last minute with the Lannister forces, yeah,
Yeah,
He would have sacked the city, yeah.
I'm going with Stannis.
Stannis.
yeah, I think Stannis.
Yeah.
I think Jon Snow just doesn't want to do it. I don't want
I
it.
don't want
I
it.
don't want it.
I think the things that Jon Snow is not willing to do either. I feel
Yeah,
like Stannis
yeah.
will win me more wars
Yeah.
than Jon.
Even though Jon Snow, I think, is a decent enough
Oh, he's-
sort of battle
yeah,
commander, I would say.
He's skilled.
Bro runs into the, even though that's, don't know, that's smart. But anyways, and finally we have the big one, Hand of the King or Queen. So we have Tywin Lannister, we've got Otto Hightower, we've got Ned Stark, we've got Tyrion Lannister, and we have Olenna Tyrell.
We can't keep Tyrion,
wait.
right?
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
already
we
some
picked him for
people.
something else. We can't pick
Yeah.
Tyrion.
Didn't we also pick Ned for something?
Yeah, we
did.
did.
Yeah, but realistically, we weren't going to pick Ned for Hand of the King
No, no,
again,
but
right? So no,
To be
Ned.
fair, Ned would not be.
No,
a
Ned
bad-
would have been good. Ned was good. Yeah,
In a good world.
yeah, in a good world.
I feel like the problem with Otto is he's too self-interested. So unless you were like his son or his daughter or whatever, he wouldn't help you enough. Like there'd always be his
It's
agendas.
the same with Olenna Tyrell.
Yeah.
In a different sense.
Otto was an amazing Hand of the King to Viserys, though. Viserys had
And then he picked
He
his
was-
daughter out.
he
He manipulated
really-
Viserys.
he
said
he,
he's-
he only manipulated him when Viserys had kids, though, and that the
But what Viserys wanted, which was to have his daughter be the queen, that's what he wanted. A good Hand of the King would
Otto was
have.
plotting
Yeah, of course.
against
Yeah,
Upheld
I mean,
those
they're,
wishes,
I mean,
and he
hey, they're
didn't.
all flawed. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's true.
Tywin, Otto, or Olenna.
If you're doing the whole self-serving thing, Olenna's just as self-serving as
Yeah.
Otto in her own way.
But I mean, I guess all those three are. So what is that
Yeah.
argument really?
So who's
Sorry.
just
I
who's
think
the
we-
best mind?
I mean, I think we got to go Tywin, but at the same time, if Tywin's your hand, he's basically the king. You're not the king. Like, let's be honest. Like, he's got the resources. He got the. So, do you want to sacrifice your?
But also, you want that power next
Yeah,
to you.
yeah.
Like, keep your friends.
But
close,
Olenna
your
has
enemies
High
closer.
Guard, and she has a decent enough army.
Great
She's got enough money in the bank,
Smarts and wits.
smarts and wits,
Yeah.
and experience.
Maybe her.
It's either Tywin or her. I'm
I'm gonna go with
Tywin.
Olenna. I'm just gonna go with Olenna for
Okay.
the sake of it. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
I'll say
I'll go with
Tywin.
Olenna.
That's it. I love
Manny,
it.
it's
I
up to
think
you.
Olenna's great though.
I'll go Olenna just to have
Yeah.
a-
Okay. Cool.
I think Olenna, she's a great character.
Yeah,
This is a
she's-
man's world.
Even, her death is one of my favorites as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, great. Yeah, and lemon cakes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Well, that was game number 3. So as Hand of the King / Queen, we've got Olenna Tyrell. As Master of War, we've got Stannis Baratheon. Master of Coin, we've got Tyrion Lannister. For Master of Whisperers, we've got Lord Varys. For Master of Laws, we've got Ned Stark. For Master of Ships, we've got Corlys Velaryon. For Lord Commander of the King's Guard, we've got Sir Barristan Selmy. And for Grand Maester, we've got Qyburn. That's a solid small
Yeah.
council. Yeah. There'll be no wars at all from that point onwards.
And Stannis wants to take the throne.
Unless Stannis wants to take the throne. And finally, guys, which character said the following quote? So Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon edition. You ready? So first up, we have, when you play the Game of Thrones, you
Cersei.
win. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground. I may have lost an eye, but I gained a dragon.
Daemon.
Amen.
I'm so slow. I just can't get the name.
Up next, we have Chaos isn't a pit.
Littlefinger.
Chaos is a ladder. Any man who must say, I am the king,
Tywin
Tywin
Lannister.
is no true king. You're doing great.
I just can't get the names out.
Okay, how about this? We'll give you this one.
No,
okay?
don't.
Here we
I
go.
don't
So,
want to
Clara,
be given it.
so here we go.
No,
on his
that's it.
deathbed, he knew the realm would never accept a queen. Which character said that? On his deathbed, he knew the realm would
Otto?
never accept. Pardon?
Otto?
No.
I don't know. You guys go.
Was it Alicent?
Yeah, it was Alicent Hightower. The things I do for love.
Jaime
Jaime.
Lannister.
Yeah.
British brand.
Okay, up next we have quite a long one. Let me finish.
Okay. Cool.
When the desire to kill and burn takes a hold and reason is forgotten, we
Oh.
will not even remember what began the war in
Rhaenys.
the first place.
That's a great quote.
it is a great
episode
quote.
3, right? With Rhaenyra, unbelievable. I love those two actresses.
Yeah,
actors,
they
so.
are brilliant. Up next we have, I'm not going to stop the wheel, I'm going to break the wheel.
Daenerys.
Daenerys Targaryen. That's what I do. I drink and I know things. Tyrion. And finally, we have, dreams didn't make us kings.
Viserys.
Dragons did.
Damon.
Damon.
Ah.
Damon said that. Well, that is it, guys. Yeah.
With you, actually.
Well, that is it, guys. That was a bit of House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was good.
A lot of games. Thank you guys so much for coming on and chatting House of the Dragon Season 2 and Game of Thrones. It's been so much fun. And guys, do let us know what you thought of House of the Dragon Season 2 down below in the comments section. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Clara,
for having me, ma'am.
for being wonderful guests. And we'll see you in for Season 3 perhaps in 2 years, two
Oh,
or so
please.
years. But yeah, guys.
We have thingy before that.
Duncan.
Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
yeah.
Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So maybe on for that as well. But yeah, guys, that is it for now. Thank you for watching, listening, and we will catch you very soon in the next episode of the Popcorn Podcast. Cheers.